in relationships with the Libra. This means that they're prepared to step up. They're prepared to do the hard yards or whatever work it takes to get everything back on track. So if you have a Libra partner and things aren't going so well, this is a really good week. You'll see them trying. And if they are trying, then be open to that. Be open to what they're attempting to do. The closed door is not necessarily a great way to go. The other interesting thing about this Jack is that really it's a hard work card. It's being prepared to do things others aren't really prepared to do as a rule. And that means that it's just, I'll do it myself. If I have to, I'll just do it myself to get the job done. There's no real picking about it. There's no, making bones. So that'd be a great energy right now to ask a Libra. And if you need to build a fence, or if you need to get something done, or if you're in a relationship, whatever it is that needs to be done around the house, this is your week, ladies and gentlemen. This is the week. Even if they've been putting it off for years, this week they'll just get over it and do it. It's a really nice energy for you, Libra, because you're going to feel by the time you get to the end of the week, you're going to have felt like you've had a really productive week. And I'll tell you what, there is nobody on this earth that thinks, oh, gee, I had a wonderful week sitting on my couch doing nothing. Nobody, ever, thought it or said it. Usually we feel really good when we feel we've done the things we wanted to do, when we've made achievements. Even if they weren't things we wanted to do, we feel good having got them out of the way. And then moving right along to Scorpio. And Scorpio, we've got the Ten of Spades for you. The Ten of Spades is very similar to the Four of Spades, in which case we've got this person sitting in a chair and looking a bit glum. The Ten of Spades is a really complex card. This is a card that says for you, Scorpio, that you got something you wanted this week. And that's a really nice thing, to get something you wanted. Unfortunately, there's a little caveat to that, which is, I don't think I want it now. Or I'm not sure if I wanted it in the first place. This is that energy of, oh boy, you hear that, right? We've all done it, I'm sure. It's one of those energies where, say you've wanted a loan for a house, you get the loan for the house, and then you become aware in a few months or straight away or in a year or two's time that actually it's a financial burden and you're struggling with it. And things can change to cause that to happen. But you still got what you wanted, otherwise you wouldn't have gone there. It's like that getting into a relationship and committing yourself to it, going and starting a job and finding that it's harder than you thought it would be to transition from where you were. It's all of that energy. So it's a nice thing to start with, but it's hard to appreciate it based on the fact that once you've got it, you're burdened by it. The responsibility or the financial requirements or even the effort in a relationship that you have to put in. Oh, I've got a girlfriend or a boyfriend now, and oh gee, I've got to call them up or they'll get upset. Oh gee, I've got to be committed to this. It's not a game anymore because somebody else's feelings are involved. We all hear that, right? If you have got a Scorpio around you this week and they seem a little bit weighted down, and again they could be irritable with this energy, it might be worth just asking them. If you care for them and you're in that same, it may be worth just letting them know that you understand what their concerns are. It may be worth having a wee chat about it. It doesn't have to be an argument unless you resist it or refuse it or take it personally, whatever that might be. It's one of those energies that until you address it, it will cause problems. And that may not just be this week, because if they're feeling overburdened, the Scorpion can get a little bit ticky-tacky. And so you may want to make sure that they're comfortable. If you're in your own business and you happen to be a Scorpio, this will be a very difficult time for you where you'll just feel like maybe it's not about reward, by the way, and how much we're getting. It's just about the onerous responsibility of either having to be there, having to do the job. It's going to get you down. So that's not a fun week to look at for you, Scorpio. And for those around Scorpio, just being aware of that. If they are acting grumpy, please ask your Scorpio, are you okay? Is there anything you need to discuss? That's all it takes. It can even be around family. If you've got a problem with a child or an adult or a child, and they're off doing something or they're not well, that can be a burden of responsibility, or a parent, all of that sort of thing. But bearing in mind that this card is about getting something you want first. So you might want your kids to leave home and then they do and you freak out about it, that kind of thing. You may, I'll leave it there. I think I've explained that enough. There's Darlene saying in the chat, I'm never irritable. So good fun. Actually, I was being kind. I had a sister who passed away some years back who was a Scorpio. The word irritable would have been an understatement, I'd have to say. When she decided to whomp it on, irritable would be being very kind. Okay, so we're moving on to our topics of the week, and the first topic we're looking at is profits, and Tammy is going to bring us the first stage of that. Fire away there, Tammy.
Thank you.
Moses is good, yeah.
Okay, Moses. Okay,
Yeah.
Moses is said to be most important prophet in Judaism. He's also an important prophet in Christianity, Islam, Baha'i faith, and a number of Abrahamic religions. In the Bible, he was the leader of the Israelites and the lawgiver. Traditionally, he was supposed to be the author and or the one who acquired the Torah from heaven. According to the book of Exodus, Moses was born in a time when his people, the Israelites, were an enslaved minority and were increasing in population. As a result, the Egyptian pharaoh worried that they might ally themselves against the Egyptians. So Moses, the Hebrew mother, secretly hid him when the pharaoh ordered all new Hebrew boys to be killed to reduce the population of the Israelites. Through the pharaoh's daughter, Queen Bithia, the child was adopted as a foundling found from the Nile River and grew up with the Egyptian royal family. After killing an Egyptian slave master who was beating a Hebrew, and if you guys remember the movie with Charlton Heston beating the snot out of the guy because he was trying to crush his mother under the stone, all right?
Beating the snot out of him. Yeah, go Moses.
So he wound up killing him. So Moses fled across the Red Sea to Midian, where he encountered the angel of the Lord, speaking to him from the burning bush on Mount Horeb, which he regarded as the mountain of God. Okay, so God sent Moses back to Egypt to demand the release of the Israelites from slavery. Moses said, "No way, I can't speak. I'm not eloquent at all." So God sent Aaron, his eldest brother, to become the spokesperson. After 10 plagues, Moses led Exodus out with the Israelites out of Egypt.
Hang on. Did you say 10 plagues?
Yes.
Okay, carry on.
Okay, that's what it said. After 10 plagues,
Yeah, I got it.
Moses led the exodus of Israelites out of Egypt and across the Red Sea, after which they based themselves at Mount Sinai, where Moses received the 10 Commandments. After 40 years of wandering in the desert, Moses died in sight of the Promised Land on Mount Nebo. So according to records, Moses was born in 1393 BC in the land of Goshen. He passed away in, I don't know how this got to 1273.
That's
in
right.
Mount Nebo, Jordan.
Because it's BC, mate. So with BC,
Yeah.
it gets the earlier in time, the bigger the number, and it gets smaller and smaller, and then it's 0 BC, right? BCE.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, gotcha.
So
So
that is it.
that's interesting, though, because the 10 plagues, that really attracted my attention, because Moses carried a lot of weight from the biblical text, of course, and of course his grandfather was Enoch. I don't know if you're aware of that, people, but the Enochian tablets were found, and in that some of Moses' predictions were actually already in play. That means his grandfather predicted the Great Flood, by the way, and he, although he claimed to get that message from God, he would have already heard that from his grandfather for obvious reasons, his grandfather to his father, and it was a big deal in the tablets of Enoch that he wrote about this big flood. So the question starts to arise whether Moses really got a message from God, or if that was how a person back then got listened to when they were prophesying. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not poo-pooing him, I'm just putting it out there that there's a question here, because it's not unheard of to him. If his grandfather had already made the prediction, he clearly would have known about that prediction, right? I think.
True, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We've got a question in the chat before we move on to Drita. Michelle V. Hello there, and hello, Michelle. I'll just pop that there. I'd like to ask a question. Hello, yes, we're all hello. I'd like to ask a question, please. What's the best way to deal with my landlord in general for any situation in order for me to get what I want from him? Pretty big question. We can all have a go at that. Do you think? Would that be a good idea?
Okay.
Fire away, Tam.
Well, let me see. I got a picture of your landlord. It's like, okay, you give me one, I'll give you two. You're like, boom, boom. He's ready. He's on his tiptoes. He's waiting for you. Like anything you fire at him, he's got 3 answers back.
Oh.
So I mean, it's like kind of feeling like he's ready for you. It's like very hard to deal with. I mean, I think that there's one slight little thing that you can have a one-up on him, but I think it's going to be pretty difficult.
Darlene says she hopes he isn't a Scorpion. If he is, it's just not the right week. That's all. It's only, all of those astrology forecasts are astrology forecasts for the week, not for your lifetime. Drita, what do you think about that?
I'm going to think so. Let go. And get out of your way, kind of just let it go for a little bit. Take deep breaths and approach him from a different energy level. You're going to get further ahead with him. If you approach him with love, he'll back off. He'll meet you there. You understand? Energetically, put that ahead before you talk to him. My take on it. I would deal with somebody who's like that. Or like he comes as aggressive and that. Yeah, just with love. And you will actually talk nice to him. And then just the voice, just the tone, just the energy. That's my take on that.
Awesome. And I'll throw in at the end, I'll tail end that one I get the feeling that he is difficult to pin down, which Tammy kind of indicated. He'll have lots of excuses, I guess. But I also think that he just doesn't feel good under pressure. He doesn't respond well to it. So in the way that you deal with him for anything, it would be to leave things fairly open-ended. He feels like a driving personality to me, in which case when you start any sentence with, hey, do you mind helping me with this? Or I feel a bit silly, but he will meet you there, which kind of buys into Drita's look at things as well. So there's that whole energy that he's got where I don't know if it's because I don't know if you're in a complex or not, but I don't know if he gets a lot of queries from his tenants, but if that's the case, it could come from there or it could be his personality. But I really get the feeling that if you start with the, I need help kind of angle, and you move in with that, look, I'm no good at this, perhaps you can help me, and anything that suggests that he's superior to you, is what it comes down to.
He's a self-sabotage kind of guy. He just goes like that without even thinking, but yeah.
Well, that answers the question. The question is, though, really, what's the best way to deal with him in any situation? And so that's why I put it down that way. As soon as you start whining at him, as soon as you say, hey, I need this done, when are you going to do it? I think you'll find him quite hard to pin down, which is Tammy's take, only just a little bit more specific. And then, of course, with Drita's, obviously you can't go up and give him a big fat hug and a smooch and say, hey, buddy, I need this done. So I think that it's the same angle. I've just got different words for it, right? So that is that.
Thank you for the words, because sometimes I just feel the energy. I don't know how to express it that way.
That's okay. And I think you both got it exactly right, because I felt myself... Today, it's the second time I've said to these girls, I felt myself branching into both of your territories. So very cool. Drita, you've got your next topic on the prophets coming up.
I have picked the Jesus and the Muhammad, the differences and similarities between these two prophets or gods, or who the whole humanity is actually bowing to them or against them, and yeah. So for Jesus, we have so the both are Jewish. And Jesus is the reincarnation of God, the Son of God, and how we see him as he performs miracles. So we all have faith that he will come back and all that. So many, and he was not born of he was born of a, what is it called? Immaculate conception from Mary. Whereas the other guy was actually...
I'm laughing because you can't even say it. None of us can say it because it just...
But it's funny because...
Every woman on earth is like, really? Okay.
But I've been trying because I really wanted a son in mind. It never happened like that after 4 girls. So I'm just wondering how the hell did he...
It's funny.
Yeah, so anyway, so Jesus never marries based on